Welcome, my brave hearts and sensitive souls, to Embrace Your Sacred Nature podcast. I'm your host and soul guide, Tania. Today, I want to talk to you about intuition. A very common question that people have is, how do I know if it's my intuition talking to me or if it's just my mind? How can I tell the difference? Well, first of all, let's backtrack and talk about intuition. What is intuition? Well, to me, intuition is your inner knowing. It is your sixth sense, is your inner compass that guides you to live as your true, authentic self. Intuition is how your soul and the universe communicate with you. It's a gateway to help you to tune into the energies around you. Intuition is your superpower. It's everyone's superpower because it's the only sense you cannot lose. You can lose your sense of hearing, you can lose your eyesight, your sense of smell and taste, but you cannot lose your intuition. Unless you lose your head, right? So sometimes I also refer to intuition as the wisdom coming from our heart. Now, for heart here, I mean the energy center of the heart, which is located in the center of the chest, is not where the physical heart is located. Okay, so why is it important to connect with our intuition? Well, remember how I said intuition is the way your soul speaks to you. And it's the way how the universe communicates with you. So if you want answers to questions like, who am I? What am I doing here on this earth? What is my life purpose? What is the meaning of life? You've come to the right channel, your intuition. You need to start listening to your intuition because that's how your soul is communicating to you, and your soul knows everything. It knows why you're here. It knows all your gifts and talents, and your soul knows also that it's here to grow and evolve. Now, there's something very important when it comes to intuition and the way it communicates with you, and I want you to pay attention very carefully to what I'm going to say. And it's this: everyone's intuition communicates in a unique way. And I'll repeat it again. Everyone's intuition communicates in a unique way. In other words, the way your intuition communicates to you will be different than how my intuition communicates with me. So for one person, intuition may come through as an image. For another person, intuition may come through as a gut feeling or a physical sensation or sound, just a feeling. So now that you know this, let's explore the different ways that intuition can come through, and I'm going to break it down to you through the six senses. Let's start with the sense of sight. This is a very common way for intuition to come through. Intuition may come through as colors or images. For sound, this is what people commonly refer to as the still small voice inside. So this voice is gentle and loving, and I'll talk more about later in this episode. For touch, intuition may come through as a physical sensation, like goosebumps, for example, a gut feeling, sometimes even as pain. For smell and taste, intuition can come through as a very subtle sense of smell and taste, like you can smell something or taste something that is not really there. So for example, you may have heard people like smelling roses and incenses in holy places, but there were no actual roses or no actual incense, and they believe it's a sign of divine presence. Intuition can also come through as the feeling that you cannot explain with any logical explanation, even though you can try, or just a sense of deep inner knowing that's coming from your heart. Sometimes intuition may come through as an idea that subtly just pops up in your head. To give you my personal example, my intuition comes through mainly as a feeling in my heart space. So it's just a feeling of knowing. And if I'm thinking using my head, I can feel my energy just going back and forth in my head space. I can really just feel it here all in my head. And if it's my intuition, I can feel it down here by my heart space. The best way to understand how your intuition communicates with you is to think back to a time when you think, is your intuition speaking to you? Now, the first experience that pops up in your mind, that would be it. And see if you can recall how you sensed your intuition. Was it an image that popped up in your mind? Was it just a feeling or hunch, or did you hear a voice speaking to you? So I want you to write it down in your journal, or if you're driving or doing something else, just make a mental note, because this is how you can start to take these as clues and decipher how your intuition speaks to you personally. Now, so going back to the very first question, how do I know if it's my intuition or if it's just my mind talking to me? Now, part one of the answer was just what I talked about. It's very important to understand how your intuition communicates with you personally, because once you do, you can start to tell the difference between your intuition and your your mind? Now, part of the answer is to understand in general how intuition may sound or feel like. And I use the word listen as an acronym to explain this. Now, by the way, I've written this before in my blog a couple years ago, and I'll leave the link of my blog in the show notes below if you want to go and read about it. Okay, so L in listen stands for loving. So intuition is loving, it's kind, it's very gentle, and it's never really forceful. I stands for inspiring. Inspiring here doesn't mean that has to be something grand or like a complete revelation, though it can be. Inspiring here just means it sparks something or stirs something up within in your heart, an idea maybe, or emotion, or maybe sometimes even negative emotions or resistance too. Our intuition always tells us what we need to hear instead of what we want to hear. S in listen stands for soft. A lot of people describe their intuition as a soft whisper. Of course, if you've always been listening to your intuition already, then it may sound louder, or if you were in an emergency situation, you may hear it with like a strong sense of urgency. But usually on a daily basis, it comes as a soft, gentle whisper. T in listen stands for truthful. Our intuition holds this frequency of truth, and we can all feel this frequency of truth in the core of our being. So when we speak our own truth, we know. Intuition is aligned with that frequency of truth that we can all feel. E in listen stands for empowering. Similar to loving and inspiring, when we hear our intuition, it gives us power because it's guidance coming from within us, not coming from our parents or the society or from other people. N in listen stands for niggling. So spiritual teacher and author Rebecca Campbell, she wrote in her very first book, Light is the New Black, about facing the niggle. So niggle is a feeling just won't go away until you do something about it, or you completely ignore it. Sometimes this niggling feeling may come up when something feels off or not right, but you just can't put your finger on it. So an example in my own life when I didn't listen to my intuition or that niggle was when I was buying flight tickets online. I checked everything, and before clicking the pay button, I thought everything seemed to be all right, but I just had a feeling I should not buy it just yet. And there comes my mind. My mind was like, there's nothing wrong, so go ahead and buy it. And that's what I did. I went ahead, bought it anyway, and then afterwards I realized I bought the wrong ticket. Instead of buying the ticket from flying point A to point B, I bought the wrong route, flying from point B to point A. And I learned my lesson, right? If I have listened to my intuition, I wouldn't have to go through all the trouble to change the ticket and all that. So now that you know how your intuition feels like and sounds like, well, how about our mind's voice? So remember, in my own personal example, I know it's my intuition because coming from my heart space. If I feel a lot in my head, I know it's just something coming from my mind. Now, there's nothing wrong with our mind, okay? Our brain is hardwired to avoid pain and fear in order to survive, and our mind just wants to protect us. So I'm going to use the word ego as an acronym again to show you how the mind sounds like. Now, E in ego stands for an easy way out. Our ego loves an easy way out, but it's not necessarily a better way for your soul to grow and evolve. So the easy way out is often this temporary solution that helps you stay in a comfort zone. But often there will be this tension, either it's in the heart or the back of your mind, like this is unsettling feeling because deep inside, this is not something you truly feel aligned with, or it's not something that you truly desire. G in ego stands for go, go, go. The voice of our ego can sound pushy, forcing us to do something out of fear. It can be the fear of needing to be productive or staying busy, or just a fear of missing out. We should do this or we should do that. So if you feel like you should do something and it's coming from a place of pressuring yourself, it's probably coming from your mind. O in ego stands for oppressive. Oppressive literally means overwhelming or depressing the spirit and the senses. So the ego, in order to protect you, may suppress your secret dreams and desires. Maybe you have a dream to be a writer or start your own business or start your own podcast, and your ego will tell you, no, 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 who do you think you are? You can't do it. Don't embrace yourself. You're not good enough. Your ego is your inner critic's voice, constantly beating yourself up, judging, criticizing yourself. In fact, what it's doing is trying to protect you from failure, from feeling embarrassed, ashamed, or guilty. And this voice wants you to stay small in order to feel safe. This voice wants you to follow what other people tell you, what society tell you, so you can fit in a certain role or identity, so you can feel you can belong. but belong to what, right? So let me recap how your intuition may sound or feel like. Remember the acronym LISTEN for your intuition. L for loving, I for inspiring, S for soft, T for truthful, E for empowering, and N for niggling. And if it's coming from your mind, remember the acronym EGO. E for easy way out, G for go, 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 and O for oppressive. I believe that everyone is intuitive and everyone has intuition, and we use our intuition more than we think. So the more you practice listening to your intuition, the better you get at understanding how your intuition speaks to you. And guess what? The best way to practice listening to our intuition is through meditation. Because when you start to cultivate this awareness to observe and witness your thoughts, you can start to tell the difference. Like, this is my mind talking versus this is my intuition talking to me. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Embrace Your Sacred Nature podcast. I'm so grateful for your time. And as always, I love to stay connected with you. So if you have any specific questions about intuition that you'd love for me to talk about or for me to answer, please let me know in the comments below or contact me through email. You can find me on social media as well. And make sure to hit the subscribe button too, so you can follow my next episode. You can also go to my website, www.taniaho.me, to download your free How to Perform a Simple Fire Release Ceremony at Home guide today. And remember, your energy is your magic, so be you and no one else. This is Tania from Museflower Retreat and Spa, and I'll see you in my next episode.